Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. Learning as a methodology or as a skill, and I've heard about this, how to learn, has been a very interesting exercise for me personally over the years because I have ensured in the last decade not stop learning. And when I look at the students of today and the generation of today, they have definitely evolved. There are many learning methods, platforms, tools, technologies, and not just restricted to the atypical college or a university or a school where you learn, but there are various formats, methods, content, resources available today where you can learn, you can understand the entire subject or a concept which you really want to focus on. And hence, I really have started doing my research about learning as a concept, and I'll be talking throughout these special videos which are very targeted towards students and individuals who are very interested in the entire learning exercise or understanding how to learn to learn. It's a tongue twister. I'll be sharing my tidbits, thoughts, perspectives through this content. And one of the first piece which I really want to double click on is how do we learn, or what are the types of learning which each one of us can take on as we go through the journey of exercise. Because one thing is there, when you're learning a concept, when you're learning a particular subject, it can get very daunting. It can get boring depending upon the topic which you want to double click on. And me as an individual cannot stick to one format. I have seen that over the years, for me, just having one singular format to learn about a topic, about a subject, about an area of interest, and if I just resort to, for example, like books or learning from online or video, it just doesn't help. I need to mix it up to make it interesting, keep me engaged, and also help me understand the topic much better and enhance my knowledge. And hence, the first piece I really want to talk about the types of learning exercises or the types of learning methods which you can and I have chosen to adopt over the last decade. And the first piece is actual visual learning. And it's a very common type of a learning exercise which we all undertake. We all learn through visual and spatial representations such as graphic designs, charts, diagrams, images, and reading material, which really help us to understand the concept better because it's more imagery, it has more visual element than just pure text, and that really helps us to recall the knowledge much better and recall the subject much better. For example, if you are really looking to learn pottery or you want to learn the art of painting, if you see somebody else painting a subject or indulging in the pottery building process, you will be able to pick up that skill much easier. So visual learning is one of the key element or one of the types of learning which you should be aware of or you should adopt in your day to day. The second piece or the second type of learning which has really picked up in the last 5 to 7 years is auditory learning, or also called as oral learning, not with O, it's AURAL learning. And that really helps you to take a course, take a lesson, or listen to a book or a podcast or any one of them, and that type of a learning helps you to resonate and understand those perspectives very differently than what the visual learning will help you to do. And it's not necessary that the auditory learning is palatable or is conducive for every type of learning. You really need to use the particular topic or a subject and then use the auditory learning as a concept or as a learning method to really help you enhance your skill or enhance your perspective. The third type of a learning is called the logical learning, and this specific learning type or a method is used when you're trying to solve a particular problem statement, you're trying to learn a complicated subject, and especially when you are looking to use data or you're using systems or you're using technology, that really helps you to do a lot of reasoning, and especially reasoning type or simulation type learning really helps when you're trying to undertake or when you're trying to understand a particular subject or a topic. And it also helps you develop skills like critical thinking, strategic thinking, and more importantly, learn to believe in data, use facts and systems to present your thought or present a perspective on a particular topic. And it's pretty common in these days, logical learning skills. And definitely when you're mixing it up, apart from the visual and the auditory learning, logical skills really help you to get better at your learning abilities. And more importantly, you need to start thinking about how do you bring all of these three, and not just these three, that there are two more left which I'll talk about, but how do you bring all of these together and not just focus on one type of a skill to help you harness your learning abilities as you move along. The fourth is also called the verbal learning. Now, it's more about how you learn using verbal cues and responses. And typically, verbal learning really helps in two ways. You can listen to, like through this, my video, you are having cues, you're having subjects, and me breaking down these 5 types of learning in a methodical way, probably you are able to understand these learning types. But more importantly, it's not just about verbal learning in a way that you're just listening, but you are also able to impart. So, for example, if you're participating in a debate, or if you're participating in a conversation or in a group discussion, that type of a learning also helps you to harness your skills better. And it's not just one skill, which is just the listening or the orator skills, but also it helps you harness your knowledge in multifold direction. And that is a very interesting learning ability to harness, learn, and enhance over a period of time, because it is one of the most powerful ones, at least in my perspective. I'm not saying the other three are not that relevant, they are, but the learning ability through verbal cues and responses really helps you to be successful in the long term. And last but not the least, which has become so relevant in today's day and age, is called the kinesthetic learning. What is kinesthetic learning? Is basically learning by doing. Today, when you look at the age old methods of teaching where you're just learning, and for example, there have been subjects, whether you're learning psychology or you're learning history or any of those topics, but if you're not able to really go to the museum, for example, if you've learned about a particular topic or about a place or about an individual, what he or she might have made an impact, and you've just read it in the books, but you've not really gone to a particular museum which houses those information more, or teaches you or shares more knowledge about that individual, you'll not be able to learn. That's just a concept, a different concept for history. But let's say if you're learning data science, or if you are learning to be a chef, in both these scenarios, if you really don't practice what you've learned through books, through the auditory learning skills, or just with verbal learning, and if you don't practice it, you will never be a good chef, you will never be a great data scientist. And hence, learning and adopting the kinesthetic learning skills really helps you to be successful, master your art, master your career, and hopefully make you successful. So these are the 5 areas. I hope you've enjoyed today's content, and if you'd like me to double click further in any of these 5 areas, I will be coming up with more content on today's students or lifelong learners, or what other things they can start incorporating as part of their learning, what other tools, technologies, methods, platforms can they leverage. If you'd like me to talk about or speak about or do some research on a specific topic, please do leave your comments or reach out to me. I'll be happy to share my perspectives. Thank you, stay safe, and be healthy.